Hi folks, welcome to today's color process video. Just before I get started, I might sound a bit like I'm mumbling because one of my braces has come loose, so I'm trying my best not to make that any worse. So forgive me if I'm not entirely clear when I'm speaking. Okay, with today's comic, because of the very kind of symmetrical kind of composition I've got going on, especially between the first and fourth panels. I wanted to um, I wanted that to come across in the coloring as well. Um, like I knew going in straight away that I would be using the same colors for those two panels. As for the other two panels, the second and third panel, I was considering maybe doing the same thing with them, where I would use the same color scheme uh, across both panels, but I couldn't really figure out a way to do it, in such a way that it would look okay. Um, the only thing I could think of was to have the color of the sky that we can see through the bars in the second panel kind of match up with the color of the clouds in the third panel, and of course that all kind of ties into the background colors in the first and fourth panels. When it comes to the actual coloring of, say, the interior of the jail cell in the second panel, I was going to go for a more kind of detailed uh, kind of lighting or effects, kind of go for a more rendered kind of look to that panel. Um, However, nothing I did really, or the things I was toying around with didn't really work all that well. So I just used various tricks, such as adding textures, using kind of like a spatter brush tool, and just like um, using feathered circle selection in the center of the panel, and then just lightening the colors there somewhat. Like I set the feathered edges to about 70 pixels, which means that it almost gives you a gradient effect. And I just did that to just add a slight bit more depth to the scene without having to put a lot of time into doing it by hand, and also just to make the eye further focus on the character in the center of the composition. The third panel, really, that was it was pretty simple. Like the foreground, like the hill, the character, and the tree, I had them done in such a way that even though at a glance it's fairly, like, the line work there is fairly solid, like just solid black, like the silhouette. Um, if you look closely, like I used brush strokes on the hillside and the tree to just give a bit more texture to it, to not have it look like just a flat object placed on top of the scene. And I just added like a touch of color to that. I just added like a kind of a desaturated purple um, to that without the need for having to do any shading or anything. Just to give it a little something, like I think it looks much better than it would have looked if I just had have gone for, as I was thinking about when I was drawing it, of just going for like just a solid black silhouette. Then for the sky and the ocean and the clouds, this is my first time in a while doing like my kind of token textured kind of painted kind of look to the scene to get to do the gradients and whatnot. And yeah, it was nice to get back into that. You know, it's almost kind of a comfort zone kind of thing for me, coloring things that way. But you know, not to toot my own horn, but I do think it looks quite nice, especially those clouds. Like I really like how they turned out. So yeah, overall I'm pretty happy with this one. So I will leave it at that. Thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you at the next video. Take care.